I'm Kat.
And I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy.
A tipsy night class teaching the oddities and curiosities you never learned in school.
What are we drinking for this learning journey, Hayley?
Alcohol.
Yes,
I have
ma'am.
a White Claw. What do you have?
I have an Oktoberfest lager from High Cotton Brewery, and I like the beer, but I hate the art on it. Look at this. Look how ugly it is.
Okay, so, it's a pig. I was not even expecting that. It's a pig in lederhosen. Is that how you say it?
I do not like anthropomorphized pigs. Like when you make a pig look like a human, that's disgusting.
And the thing I hate about it most is that it only has 4 fingers. It's like, if you're going to make it a human, at least give it 5 fingers, right?
That's horrible. That's like pig hooves, are split.
Yeah.
It's like then they just split each one of those hooves and now it has
fingers.
4 little pinchers.
Right.
Yeah.
Make it logical. Give it hooves or give it hands.
I think it does have a thumb though. I see a thumb.
Yeah, it has 3 fingers, I guess, and a
3
thumb.
fingers and a thumb. Oh God, you're right.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's not cute.
That's horrible. Whoever drew this needs to reevaluate.
Somebody call PETA.
I'm about to. I don't even want to look at it. I'm going to turn it away from me.
Yeah, look away. Also, Alec, can you turn up my headphones? I did not realize that I'm hearing...
They're blasting.
The thing. No, they're not blasting.
They're not loud enough.
I got to crank it up.
Is that good?
I think so.
Okay.
That should be good.
I think I asked for mine down and then he turned yours down by
Everything's
accident.
all out of whack. There are issues.
There's so many issues. But actually, this has been a good week for me. How's your week?
Yeah, actually, for all the issues, the good has definitely outweighed the bad. What are you thinking of?
A lot of things. For when I started work this week, I had a good time with my students. And Alec, before we did this, warned us not to talk about work because he says it's boring. But I have to talk about work for 1 second.
We want to bore you.
We want to bore you, and I want to brag about myself for just a brief moment.
You need to. You absolutely need to.
We get state ratings as teachers, and the state says you get a number out of 5, and that's going to affect your job. And I got a level 5. I'm a top-rated teacher. 3 is good. It meets expectations. I reached the highest level, and it's very exciting.
And that's a huge feat. I feel like for even within the first several years of teaching to get that level 5, like your kids not only grew, but it sounds like they mastered what they were supposed to learn.
They did great. And it is like based on your student state test scores. And I realized that that's not ideal, and state test scores in general are a problematic metric, but that's what we have to go off of. And according to that, I did great.
You're the queen.
I'm the queen. And also the plantar warts that I've had on my toe for a very long time have finally disappeared. So
what? Just gone?
No, I treated them.
Oh, okay.
But it took like a year of treatment to get them to be gone. So I'm very excited.
They just disappeared. It must be something like spiritual.
I mean, maybe that too. I've definitely like prayed over them.
Wow, things are looking up. You've got your new meds on the way.
I know. My new meds will be here tomorrow. Very excited.
Like, riding on the placebo effect for the last week.
I really have. My anxiety dissipated after I got my prescription. I think because I just think there's an end in sight. And so my body was like, you're healed.
Yeah, you're going to be too relaxed once you actually get your meds.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
It's going to be amazing. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
So yeah, round of applause for Miss Katya Winter-Barnhart.
Thank you. What was your high point of the week?
Starting my new job and not having to be in a classroom. I do miss setting it up, but it's like... It was just so overwhelming, and the team that I had to work with in the last couple of years, it had just been a lot. So in this new job, I think my favorite part of it so far is getting to wear cute clothes.
What do you wear that's different?
I wear dress pants, I wear blouses, I wear heels, I do my hair, I do my makeup, because I don't have kids to grab onto this. I don't have to chase kids down the hallway.
Okay, fair. I was like, that sounds like what I already wear, but I teach middle school. They're not jumping on me.
You weren't changing diapers.
No,
I was
certainly not changing diapers. Well, congratulations on your new job. Do you want to tell people what it is? I feel like They'll be curious.
So I did pre-K sped earlier in the classroom. Now I'm on a diagnostics team. So I work with a team of speech pathologists, psychologists, OT, PT, all that jazz. And we test these kids and then we write up their special educational information and get them into a program that fits them best.
Yeah, she got a little promotion.
Yeah.
Very
now
exciting.
if I could get a fucking pay promotion, that would be great.
Yeah, they're like, you have a promotion in only title and that you have to do more work, but we're not gonna.
That's actually, it's
Do
literally.
you get paid more for a promotion? Is that what's supposed to happen?
It's same but different. It's a lateral move. Another great thing that happened this week was cocktail hour on Friday. It's always a highlight of my week, but this was the most fun I've had at a cocktail hour, and they're always fun. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but oh my God, we hung out for 3 hours, and they're not always 3 hours. They're not supposed to be 3 hours.
No, they're usually around like 90 minutes. They're supposed to be 1 hour. They tend to go a little long, but we were just having so much fun. We were vibing, and everyone on was a blast to talk to. We got really lit. I did not have a good day the next day from my hangover.
Yeah, so if you too want to have fun with us and be hungover the next day, if you're into that kind of thing, our cocktail hours are available to every tier on Patreon. So you can head over. Tiers start at $5 per month. It is so fun to get to talk with people about topics that we have or just random things not night classy related. We got pretty deep on Friday.
We had a lot of topics. For one, who's hot and who's not in Twilight. We all talked about what prescription medicine we're on. We talked about vitamin supplements. We talked about TV shows. What else did we talk about?
I don't even know.
The list
That's what
really
I
just
remember.
goes on
We were
and
lit.
on. Yeah. Menstruating. Oh yeah.
Yeah, lots of that.
Back to school stories, embarrassing moments. It was we really put it all out on the table on these Patreon cocktail hours.
Kat showed you her home, her little house, all of it.
I gave everyone a tour. I showed people my new caterpillar, Molly. She's very cute.
Is she doing well?
I hope so. She's pupating, so she's hibernating essentially, which makes it hard to tell if she's dead or alive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, fingers crossed.
I just got a flash of a t-shirt design of like a grumpy caterpillar and someone's bothering and it's like, I'm pupating.
If anyone knows how to draw, please make me that design and I'll put it on a shirt and send you
I would
one.
love that so much. It's like anytime anyone tries to talk to me if I'm napping, especially tell me to like come in. He knows now, just like back out slowly. But before, I'm napping.
I want a blanket that looks like has a giant pupa on it. So when you're wrapped up in the blanket, you look like a pupa. And on the blanket, it says I'm pupating and it's for nap time.
Okay, we need that. We need that. New merch coming who knows when, but eventually.
We do need new merch. We don't plan on buying any more of our current merch. So if you like what you see, get it now because who knows how long we'll have it.
That is true. And you know what? Speaking of Patreon activities, we have some new patrons.
We do.
To announce.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
Sure. I would like to shout out Parker Litton from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada.
Woo!
Please marry us so we can come live with you outside of the United States. Parker also chose his Patreon pick, which will be my topic next week. I have just glanced at it. I'm so excited to cover it. He says he enjoys the show and binged all of our episodes in the last 2 months.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's dedication.
It is. It is. Could not be me. So thank you, Parker, for joining Patreon.
Thank you, Parker. And I would like to shout out Eli Foxley. First of all, that's the coolest name I've ever heard in my life. And he is from Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha.
Very exciting. And he and his stepdad own a medical delivery business. So he's driving around a lot and listens to our show.
You've got to be listening to something when you're driving around for work. I feel like it's miserable if you're not. So I'm glad we can be in your ear all day, Eli.
Same. And as someone who does not like to sit with my own thoughts, I'm literally always listening to a podcast and I get very invested in podcast hosts of people whose podcasts I listen to. So it's always cool to hear that we're in someone else's ears all the time.
It is. I know. I don't know how to feel about it. It's cool, but I'm also like, is this real? Are you pranking me right now?
Same. My entire wardrobe is slowly being replaced by podcast merch shirts. I just bought a Sauce Wars shirt from Game of Roses pod.
Yeah. Now I have to get one. I can't have you have one and not me.
You should get one. They're so cute. I can't wait to wear it while we record and show you.
Let me look it up right now.
Okay. While you're doing that, we breathalyzed, unless you have anything else you want to share.
Get into it.
Okay. I somehow blew a .087 after drinking half of a beer.
Ignore the 3 other beers she drank this morning.
I don't count alcohol if it's mixed with coffee.
Pre-recording. I blew a .026.
So that means I get to go first, and I'm sorry for like shoving Patreon down all of your throats right now, but my topic this week is a Patreon pick.
It is very special.
So special. It's from Kay Reed, and let me just say that Kay is my new favorite Patreon because not only did she pick a topic, she sent me my notes for me.
Yeah, she literally was a source.
Yeah, she is my source. Kay is a writer, and she has a blog called kayreadwrites.com where she publishes her work. It looks, at least from scrolling through her blog, that she does kind of what we do. She researches interesting things and writes about them. And so she wrote a really good piece on the story I'm about to share, and that's where I sourced all my own information from when I basically rewrote what she already wrote.
Just read her post.
I thought about it, but then I was like, no, that's not allowed. I need to at least retype it. So thank you so much, Kay. And it's a great story. So let's go. On September 7th, 1978, Georgi Markov drove to his work as a BBC reporter. He parked his car under the Waterloo Bridge in London and then climbed the stairs to the bus station. Just as he was about to reach the bus station, he felt a sharp pain in the back of his right thigh. So he spins around to see what it is, and behind him he sees a stranger looking kind of like shocked.
Stranger's like, you got a Charlie horse?
Yeah. And the stranger's holding an umbrella. So I think what happens is Georgi assumes that the stranger had like accidentally poked him with the umbrella somehow, and that's where the pain came from. So he's looking at him, and the stranger mumbles something in a foreign accent, possibly like apologizing for accidentally hitting him, but we don't know exactly what he said. And then he runs across the bridge. This is a big bridge, mind you. It's over the Thames River, so it's wide. And then he gets in a taxi and drives off.
So he's spooked.
It seems like it, at least from this description. Markov was confused, obviously, but like he wasn't seriously injured.
Markov didn't go into the cab.
No, the man did. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Markov's still at the bus station. He feels like he's fine, so he just goes into work. He has a normal day, but then things start happening later that evening. Suddenly, he's really sick and he's burning up with a fever. Eventually, it's so bad he ends up in the hospital.
I'm guessing that it's related to this umbrella interaction, but if that were me, it's like you don't think to associate that weird interaction in the morning with being sick with a fever later that night, unless you're just really smart. But for me, I wouldn't immediately assume that.
And I don't think most people would, but Markov had a reason to think that someone might want to hurt him. And we'll get into that. So he actually did connect the two. He goes to the hospital, and his doctor is Dr. Bernard Riley, who conducts an examination on Markov and finds no explanation for his fever. The one abnormality he does find is a swollen spot on the back of Markov's right thigh, where he was hit with maybe the umbrella.
He's got a bug.
A bug? Like a bug bite?
No, not a bug bite. Like he's been implanted with a device.
His thigh. There's a listening device. That would be cray.
Just like they did in the vaccines.
Right,
That's a joke. Joke.
Yeah, it's Bill Gates, a listening device in the back of his thigh.
He time traveled as well.
So there's this swollen spot, and in the middle of the swollen spot, there is a puncture wound.
Ooh.
Rewind. So Georgi Markov was born on March 1st in 1929. And oh my God, I forgot to look up how to say this before starting this podcast. I'm going to give it a try. Kayansevo. Kayansevo, Sofia, Bulgaria. And Bulgaria is located, it's kind of in Eastern Europe. It's between Turkey and Romania and next to Greece. Okay. So Eastern European country.
Oh, yes, I can visualize it perfectly.
I'm sure you can.
Maps.
He was a Pisces, and after he graduated high school in 1946, he studied industrial chemistry at university. Then he worked as an engineer and a teacher at a technical school. And when he was 19, he got sick with tuberculosis. Tuberculosis.
I like that name much better. It sounds less scary.
And having tuberculosis, he was forced to spend a lot of time in the hospital. Like, it's consumption, you know, like it sucks to have. You're coughing all the time. You can't breathe. Having all this downtime, and with it being like the 60s at this point, there was nothing to fucking do in the hospital. So he decided to write. He was writing in his spare time. And it turns out he was really fucking good at it. Like, he was a great writer. He ended up publishing a number of novels and collections of short stories that were then recognized by the Union of Bulgarian Writers. Then in 1962, he won an annual award for his novel Men, which earned him an invitation to join the union. And I believe in Bulgaria, since it's a communist country and they kind of, you know, control who has what job, you have to be invited into like unions to have certain jobs.
Yeah.
So this invitation meant that he could be a professional writer.
They probably just didn't even read it. They looked at the title and they're like, men? Okay, let him in.
We like those. So now, being part of this union, he was able to join a publishing house and release even more novels. A few of his books became wildly popular, and Markov was becoming somewhat of a celebrity in Bulgaria. He became pretty well known. People liked to read him. Only there was one little problem with Markov's writing, and that's that he liked to criticize the Bulgarian government.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and communist governments don't like to be criticized. It's not their
that's
fave.
like their thing.
Yeah,
Number one rule, do not criticize the government.
Yeah, obviously. So he was a bad boy. He broke the number one rule. At the time, Bulgaria was under communist leader Todor Zivkov, and I hope I'm saying that right. And despite their disagreements, Markov's popularity earned him an invite to Zivkov's inner circle. So, you know, with communist leaders, if you're a person of importance, they like to
keep you close,
be your friend, show you off at like their dinner parties, at like events where you have other officials coming. You're like, look at all these interesting artists that like me and they're friends with me.
I have such diverse interests. I'm so well liked by all these really important people.
Exactly.
Who are just here so that I don't kill them later.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me that he's talking shit about communism. I would never hurt him.
I don't read his books anyway.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. He just never read. He didn't know how to read. So he's going to these parties. He's going to these meetings. He's enjoying the privileges that come with that. But all this proximity to the government didn't stop Markov from promoting anti-communist themes in his work.
It probably increased it.
Oh, I'm
He's
sure.
like, I am so inspired right now.
Yeah, it definitely gave him like fuel, right? Like you learn all these things and then you have more to write about. And it seems like he had like a really strong moral compass. Like he was going to keep speaking his truths. He was a Pisces. He would frequently write plays that could not be performed due to communist censorship. And even the plays that did make it to the stage earned criticism for being anti-communist. And I don't think any of the ones that at least were performed were like aggressively anti-communist, but there was like just enough that seemed to conflict with communist ideals that people were getting angry, like even people that were going to watch the plays.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like when you're under a communist regime, pretty much anything that isn't like sucking communism's dick is
definitely
a no-no.
And like even if you're just a regular person and you're enjoying his work and then he has these themes in there, you feel like maybe you could be in danger for going to a play like this, so you're angry at him.
It's like realizing you're in a cult.
Yeah, and not wanting to be killed by the crazy cult leader. So all of this is going on. People are pointing out that he's being critical of the government, and he begins to sense that he's starting to fall out of Zhikov's good graces.
It's like that meme, I'm in danger.
Exactly. He's realizing he's in danger. So he's like, I can't stay in Bulgaria. I have to flee. At first, he moved to Bologna, Italy, to live with his brother. And the original plan was to just stay with his brother for a while and then go back to Bulgaria once the heat was kind of off of him. But then it started to seem like that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, that seems like an unattainable goal, really. Yeah. It's like, if you're going to flee. You just gotta be done with it.
You gotta stay on the run. Yeah, it's not looking good.
Just build your new life.
Right.
Don't go on a sabbatical.
Commit.
This is not a sabbatical.
You gotta commit. He did end up committing. He moved to London. Only Markov couldn't speak English, so life in London was not easy for him at first. He went from being this incredibly successful, wealthy, influential person in Bulgaria to essentially being nothing in London. And once he learned English, though, it was a lot better. He's like, I can fucking write, and now I can speak the language, and it's over for all these other bitches.
Oh, for sure. Being able to communicate changes things.
Definitely, especially when you're a great communicator. So he got himself a job reporting for the BBC in 1972, and he was born in 29, so he's about in his 30s at this time. That same year, the Bulgarian government sentenced Markov to 6.5 years in prison for his defection. And that's because when he tried to extend his passport, the Bulgarian government refused to let him. So technically, he was out of the country illegally.
Assholes.
I know, dicks. They just wanted him to come back so they could, throw him in jail or worse.
They're like, I'm not going to hurt you. Yeah. Or that YouTube video that Alex showed us when he's like, I'm not going to. What did he say? I'm not going to.
You kids want to see a yo-yo trick? I promise I won't stick my dick in you.
Oh my God. I'm glad I forgot about that.
That's Bulgaria.
In Bulgaria, now that he has this sentence, all of his books and writings were pulled from stores and libraries. People were no longer mentioning him. He was kind of just written off as a criminal. Then in 1974, the Bulgarian Secret Service opened an official file on him titled The Wanderer.
Uh-oh. When you've got a file, shit's going down.
Now they're fucking keeping track. They're like, we're going to get him. Things were going pretty well in London, though. In 1975, he married a woman named Annabelle Dilke, and they had a daughter named Alexandra Reina. So he has a little family life. He has this cool reporting job. He was also working on a project called In Absentia Reports. And this is just kind of about his life in absentia, on the run, essentially, from Bulgaria, but also an analysis of his life when he lived in communist Bulgaria. And it very outwardly criticized communism and criticized the party's leader, Todor Zhikov. And these reports were broadcasted weekly all across Europe on the radio. Dang. So he gave no fucks at this point.
Leaning in now. He knows who he is. He knows he has a file. That's probably what sent him over the edge.
Probably. I'd be fucking pissed too if I were him. It's and
if my nickname was Wanderer, I'd be like, that could be cooler. That could be a cooler name.
That is pretty cool. He should have named his little radio show The Wanderer.
That would be great for a radio show, but it's like when you're wanted by a country, it should be something extreme like The Escapist.
Yeah, the Wanderer sounds very like, casual, and maybe that's what they were going for. They didn't want to.
They're not trying to raise too many alarm bells yet, but
yeah, but definitely he's inviting some trouble. I mean, good for him, but he knows he's on the radar.
Yeah, and he knows what he's doing too.
Yeah. And I mean, he's really just like talking all this shit, and Todor Zhukov and the rest of the Eastern European communists, they fucking loved it. They were big fans. Just kidding. They didn't love it. They actually hated it.
I was like, wait, did I mistake who Todor Kitzvov is?
You can't mistake Todor Kitzvov.
It sounds like a name from Lord of the Rings. It's like Frodo.
Yeah, it reminds me of Hodor.
Yes.
Hodor. And this put a major target on Markov's back. It was kind of the final nail in the coffin. He ended up receiving a warning that someone was out to get him. And he started getting vague threats that the Bulgarian government was, quote unquote, gunning for him. This, of course, made Markov paranoid. He started doing things like locking himself in his office or refusing to eat food prepared by others. And these were actually pretty normal things for people in his position, like runaways from communist governments in positions of power to do.
Yeah, I think that's a safety procedure for someone like that.
Yeah, it's nothing out of the ordinary. No one thought he was like going crazy or anything. And of course, he was right to be paranoid. At the beginning of this learning journey, I told you that Markov ended up in a hospital, sick after seemingly being stabbed by the pointy end of a stranger's umbrella. While in the hospital, one of the first things that Markov did was tell Dr. Riley that 3 months ago he was warned that someone was out to get him. And Markov believed that he was sick because he'd been poisoned by the KGB. Dr. Riley forwarded this information to the Scotland Yard's anti-terrorist team because they handle cases like this. But in the meantime, he had to figure out how to save Markov. His condition was deteriorating very quickly, and Dr. Riley agreed that Markov probably had been poisoned, but he couldn't really treat him. I mean, besides, giving him an IV and shit like that, he couldn't cure him or find an antidote without knowing what the poison was.
This is the only time just the tip is lethal.
So Dr. Riley's trying to think about what this could be, and he eliminated cyanide as a possibility because cyanide kills you really quickly. So it can't be that because he'd already be dead. It also wasn't thallium or arsenic for the opposite reason. Those take a long time to kill you and make you sick. So he's stumped. He goes home to his wife that night and he tells her about this new patient he has and that he's probably poisoned, but we don't know what it is. And he tells her about his symptoms, and she immediately knew what the poison was.
How?
Well, she knew what the poison was, and she told her husband, she's like, you need to read more Agatha Christie.
We love her.
We know her. We love her.
I also really like how she shows up in this story that Kay picked, and another recommendation she had was a topic that we covered already. I forget which episode it was, but Agatha Christie's disappearance.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I know. That made me wonder if Kay is like a big Agatha Christie fan, and that's why she's interested in both of these stories.
Yeah, maybe it linked up. Let us know, Kay.
Let us know. I've never read Agatha Christie. I feel like I need to.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. I don't think I have.
Maybe I'll check it out because this book that I'm about to talk about actually sounds really cool. So Christie wrote a book called The House of the Lurking Death, which just by the title, I want to read it.
It's a vibe.
And in that book, someone is poisoned with figs that contain something called ricin. That's a poison. And that's the poison she was like, That's it. That's it. That's what he got. And unfortunately, there is no antidote for ricin. So on September 11th, 4 days after Markov's attack, his heart gave out and he passed away.
September 11th, too. What does it mean?
What does it mean? So ricin is a protein that comes from the castor bean plant. And it's essentially a byproduct of the castor oil making process. When you make castor oil, you crush up the beans, take out the oil, and this ricin is like part of the rest of the bean. So it's not in castor oil. Do you know what castor oil is? Yeah. What is it?
You put it on your eyelashes and your eyebrows, helps them grow.
Yeah, you can use it as a beauty product. Some people also eat it kind of like as a supplement.
Okay.
Have you ever seen like an old-timey movie from like the 40s or 50s and like the doctor gives a kid castor oil and they're like acting like it tastes disgusting?
No, I haven't, but it sounds disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, no one wants to take a spoonful of oil. So that's where it comes from, the castor bean plant.
Coconut oil is pretty good. I could probably have
coconut oil?
Well, you could if you wanted to.
Like it just a bite of
I've had a dollop of coconut oil.
Just straight into your mouth?
Yeah.
Ew.
I like coconut. You've never, because it can whiten your teeth as well. You just like swish it around for 5 minutes or so.
But then you like spit it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can also just eat it if you want a little something sweet.
It's not sweet. It's oil.
Pretty sweet.
I don't think so. I'm imagining you just taking a big spoonful of coconut oil and eating it.
I don't do this regularly, okay? I'm saying I have.
I'm shook. That's disgusting.
It's
don't do
good.
that. No.
I didn't realize that. Okay, this all roots back to, again, high school boyfriend, the one that Kay and I, we both dated the same guy. I was at his house and his mom was always trying like little new things, little health things. And she showed us this video of a guy, this health guy on YouTube who was like, if you're craving a cookie, but you don't want to eat a cookie, get your fix, just have a little bit of like coconut oil.
What?
So we all tried it and I was like, okay, that was fine. This man though, if he ever eats a cookie, he's gonna just start binge eating cookies because it just not compare.
Coconut oil is not the same as a cookie.
It's really
What the
bad for
fuck?
you too.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's like a really bad saturated
Unsaturated,
fat.
yeah. Is it saturated or unsaturated?
I think
that's
it's
bad?
a saturated fat,
Okay,
but I
yeah.
could be totally wrong. But
That's so funny.
I
I
can
think it's
relate.
worse than lard.
But when Hayley's talking about when we were in high school, people thought coconut oil was like
Was
the
the
epitome
end-all,
of health.
be-all.
In Los
Yes.
Angeles, it was a big fad until everyone realized it was worse.
Oh,
the
yeah.
worst fat possible.
Did you
went.
Did you put it in your hair? That's what I was gonna say.
I have, and we'll
I
get
was
to
like,
that.
but where?
We'll get to that in a second. But during my Instagram, Tumblr, Fitspo obsession, I did put it in my oatmeal every day. So I ate it that way, but I didn't just eat it. And yes, I have put it in my hair. Don't ever do that.
Never, ever. I had to go to work with nasty, oily ass hair one time because I could not get that shit
It
out.
doesn't fucking come
I
out.
could not get it. I was crying.
I know. I had to soak my hair in apple cider vinegar, and even then, it took
It was
days.
rough. It
Yeah.
was super rough.
Terrible. So to get pure ricin, the kind that you might want to use to poison someone, you have to extract it from the mixture of seeds. I don't know. It's a process. It's not like anyone can just do this. It has to be, I assume, done in a lab. And it was the person who first figured out how to do it was German scientist Peter Hermann Stillmark in 1888. And when he did this, it was like, cool, a new biological weapon. People were very excited to have a new kind of poison. And they realized that you could deploy this poison as a mist, as a powder, as a pellet. There were all kinds of ways to kill people.
I would love to see an infomercial for this.
I know. It's so fucked up that it's like I don't know. People just love killing other people. It's
They do.
so upsetting.
They really do. I'm picturing the infomercial in black and white. Somebody's trying to break into your house and it shows them a full on assault scene and don't let this happen to you. And then they come in with the ricin mist or something. Also comes in as powder.
Yeah, we just have a pepper spray thing full of fucking poison.
Does your husband have a huge life insurance payout? Do we have the solution for you?
Yeah, you go to a life insurance policy place and there's little mint containers full of ricin mints.
Yeah, as you're checking out, it's just right there.
I mean, pretty much. So when Georgi Markov died, Dr. Riley and his associates performed an autopsy on the body. And when they examined Markov's thigh tissue at the site of the puncture, they found a small metallic ball embedded in his flesh. The ball was only 1.7 millimeters in diameter. That's just slightly smaller than a pinhead. So the little round pieces on top of a pin. And around the ball were several small openings. It's speculated that the ball could have been filled with ricin, shot into his leg, and then the openings allowed the ricin to seep out into Markov's body.
That's so crazy. I don't think it could not be me just randomly stabbing someone with the end of my umbrella.
No, I mean, it couldn't be me to kill someone in any way. But
well, yeah.
To me, it seems like a bad plan because the point of poison is that you can't, like, maybe not, like, if at least if there's not an autopsy or testing done, you don't know that the person died of poison. It could potentially be written off as he got sick and died.
Yeah,
but when you aggressively shoot him with something and then they can find the little ball in there, it's like, okay, that's not really a good cover.
I think it's different when it's like civilian versus, you know, someone who's quite outspoken about the communist regime.
That's true.
I guess the
KGB doesn't care too much.
They don't give a fuck.
So during World War I, the United States briefly palled around with the idea of coating bullets with ricin, but ricin is very sensitive to heat, so that wouldn't work because it would get burned off the bullets. And because of limitations like this, ricin is more suited to small individual attacks, which has made it popular in terrorist attacks. There's a number of times where someone was assassinated using ricin.
Can you imagine
purposes.
If we put in all of the time that we have into different ways of killing people? If we put all that time over here and moved it into time committed to making sure people's welfare is taken care of, social services, making sure people live better, higher quality, longer lives.
Hayley, listen, what you don't understand is that the Bulgarian Communist Party has those goals in mind. But in order to help people and make sure everyone's needs are met in their society, they had to kill Markov with the ricin. So
yes.
It's
okay.
I mean, we're all after the same goal here.
I see.
Just kidding.
I'm the idiot.
Yes. So ricin works by killing certain cells responsible for making necessary proteins. And when you can't make these proteins, you die. Symptoms from ricin poisoning vary depending on how you end up. I wrote taking it, but you're not usually taking it on purpose. How it's forced into you, I suppose I should say. Inhaling ricin leads to respiratory distress, fever, coughing, nausea, tightness of the chest, followed by heavy sweating, your skin possibly turning blue, and then eventually low blood pressure and respiratory failure. So fun times.
Yay!
If you swallow ricin, you'll first suffer from vomiting and diarrhea, and then other symptoms, which can include hallucinations, seizures, and bloody urine. Then within days, you will experience organ failure of the liver, spleen, and or kidneys, and then possible death. Then we have injection of ricin, which is what Markov had. If injected by a lethal amount of ricin, the victim's muscles and lymph nodes at the injection site will stop working. This is
not the lymph nodes.
Not the lymph nodes. Don't we like only have lymph nodes like around our jaw?
And in your armpit?
Oh, yeah, and your armpit. So I guess that part doesn't apply in Markov's case on his thigh. This is followed by failure of the liver, kidneys, spleen, massive bleeding in the stomach and intestines, and then you eventually die by death of multiple organs. Like your organs just all start failing.
So how long was he in the hospital sick from after this injection before he died?
From the time he was injected to the time he died, it was 4 days.
Okay.
I don't know how long he was in the hospital for. I think about 3 days because I think it took about a day for his symptoms to get bad enough. Yeah. And Georgi Markov's murder has never been solved, but most experts believe he was killed by a Bulgarian Secret Service man aided by the KGB.
What else would it be?
Truly. I mean, unless it was just like a weird random person trying out their poison. Like
Yeah.
it was definitely
They were
the
testing it
Bulgarian
out
Secret Service.
for the KGB randomly that on people. They're like, if it worked out, that would be helpful.
So the most prominent theory was that this ball of ricin was shot into Markov's leg that day by a specialized weapon made to resemble an umbrella. The idea is that the umbrella had a sharp tip that was stabbed into Markov's leg. And when they did that, the attacker pulled a trigger on the umbrella's handle, which via a spring mechanism triggered a cylinder of compressed air inside the body of the umbrella to fire a small metal ball through the barrel, through the point of the umbrella, and into his leg.
People are so crazy. I would be so nervous to do that. I'd be like, I'm not going to remember to pull the trigger, and then he's going to be looking at me. He's going to know. He's going to know.
So awkward.
I'd be like, I'm sorry, it's ricin.
Also, it's crazy. Like, if this is the weapon that was used, you would have like a millisecond to pull that trigger, and you better fucking time it right.
While
you know?
it's literally in his leg.
Yeah, like it's just like stab, trigger,
Well,
take
like,
out,
immediately.
like so fast.
I would pass out. I would actually pass out.
Oh, imagine how nervous you would be. This theory is obviously very sensational, like a murder with an umbrella. The press had a field day with it. They dubbed it the umbrella murder. It was a big story in the news for months. However, recently doubt has been cast on this particular story. Like, we all mostly agree that he was killed by the Bulgarians for what he was saying about communism on this day with ricin, but the umbrella has people a little suspicious. It seems a little like too wild to be true.
I feel like there are plenty of wild spy gadgets that I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility at all.
I agree with you, especially after your episode on CIA. Yeah, definitely. In any case, the German Spy Museum says, quote, unfortunately, recent inquiries by the Scotland Yard now point to the probability that Markov was shot not by a lone individual wielding an umbrella, but that his death was the result of the concerted action of a larger team. The murder weapon is now believed to have been a smaller handheld weapon. Whatever the manner of his death, experts still hold the Bulgarian Secret Service acted with the assistance of the KGB is responsible for the death of the author and critic of communism. So.
Okay. No, it was the umbrella. It was definitely the umbrella. What if what was the ruler of Bulgaria's name?
I have no idea.
I have Todor Huxfob written down, but that's the incorrect one.
Todor is his first name. Let's just call him that.
Okay. What if he was just butthurt that what's his name? Georgi Markov?
Yeah.
What if he was just upset that he left without saying goodbye? Or like
Yeah, he was like his friend.
bad.
What if he never actually had anything against him?
Oh my God.
He just is sad he lost his friend.
Yeah, he's like, I could really use that constructive criticism.
Yeah,
Why did you ghosted me? And for what?
That makes me sad. Now I'm sad for a communist leader.
We're not sympathizing. We're speculating wildly.
Yeah. And I mean, just in the spirit of speculating wildly, like, we really have no idea. And I think the reason there's doubt being cast upon this is because it could literally have been anything. Like, possibly the umbrella, and maybe even the guy holding it. Maybe that really is a red herring, and that guy just like was there and acted suspiciously for no reason.
For the umbrella to hit his leg at the same spot.
But we don't know that he was hit with the umbrella. It's possible he was shot in the leg by some other weapon. He turned around, not thinking obviously that he was shot, sees a guy holding an umbrella and assumes that must be what it was.
It could have been the tip of the guy's shoe. It doesn't. Yeah. I don't think it matters what the mode of poison delivery was. I think it's obvious.
It doesn't matter. Like, the point is that he was killed.
Yeah.
But if we're speculating about the weapon, like, we have no proof that it was the umbrella.
Okay.
He could have just as easily have been shot by like a projectile from some kind of gun, you know?
Yeah.
We have no idea. And we don't know for sure that weird, awkward man standing behind him had anything to do with it. He probably had. Maybe if he did have something to do with it, maybe he wasn't the one who shot him. Maybe he was just like following behind him to track him and then give the signal for a guy, standing across the bridge to shoot him. We don't know.
Perhaps. I say no.
Yeah, I agree. I think the umbrella story is the way we should be.
Oh yeah, I've watched enough Americans in my life to know about fictional spies,
and they love their makeshift weapons. So unfortunately, we will probably never know for sure exactly what happened that day. But in any case, that is the story of Georgi Markov and the umbrella murder.
Oh my God, that was wild.
Yeah,
I hope it was
story?
The umbrella. That's one of those things I'm going to add to my list after I die. I hope I get all of the answers that I never got answers to when I was alive.
Me too.
I'm adding that to the list.
And it's wild, but also like rest in peace, Georgi Markov. Like it seems like he was doing really good work and he was really brave for it. Sadly,
that too. I know.
Ultimately, he paid the ultimate price.
Stuck in the sensationalism of the story.
I know.
Yeah,
it is very sensational. Yeah. And what a gal. Thank you, Kay. One more time, I got all my information from Kay's blog, kayreadwrites.com. Definitely check it out. She has some cool stuff on there. She's a really good writer. I loved reading her piece on Georgi Markov, and I will link her blog in the show notes, and I'll also link her citations page for her piece because I did get some extra information just from clicking on her sources, so some of it came from there. Check it out if you want to see the sources, and
do it. Read is spelled R-E-E-D.
Yes,
by the way.
Kayreed writes.com. Check it out. Thank you again.
I was going to say, too, there was a recent KGB poison death in London in 2006.
Oh, wow.
Which you guys should do.
Okay. Join us. Donate to us on Patreon, Alec, and then you too can pick a lesson.
The guy got really sick and then had radioactive isotopes in his urine.
Ooh, creepy.
Realized they dosed him at a sushi shop.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, I'd be so pissed.
Ruined sushi forever.
They're like, did you do anything that would do this? And he's like, well, I did have lunch with like the head of atomic nuclear research in Italy.
What if that guy didn't poison him? He just like forgot to wash his hands after going to work and then they shared a sushi roll.
Oh, that'd be devastating.
Oh, for sure. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening, and let's hear from our sponsor.
This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Without a healthy mind, being truly happy and at peace is hard. It just doesn't add up. If things aren't going well in your head, they're surely not having a great effect elsewhere. But the good news is therapy works. We love her, we know her, but who is she? Therapy is whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now. Maybe you just need to add another tool to your tool belt. Maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships or at work. That all weighs on you so heavily. I mean, if you're anything like me, if you're a living, human, breathing person, it's going to weigh heavy on you. And not dealing well with stress adds up over time. So whatever you need, it's time to stop being ashamed of these normal human struggles and start feeling better. Because you do deserve to be happy, okay? And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. And it is much more affordable than in-person therapy. You can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. So join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are your greatest asset. And special offer to our Night Classy listeners, our Night Classologists out there, you can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/classy. That's better, HELP.com/classy. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast. And thank you all for using our code. That helps the podcast. It keeps us rolling here. So check out BetterHelp. Welcome back.
Hello.
You ready to go on a learning journey?
I woke up ready.
Oh, okay. She's ready. She was not hungover today.
No, today I felt great.
Me too. I woke up and immediately was like, I needed to, but also I want to finish my notes. Like just go through, edit them, make sure they're all good. So hopefully it is actually good because I woke up excited.
Same. I woke up naturally this morning at 7:30. So it's a good day when that happens.
Oh my God. I was pressing snooze. I pressed snooze for an hour today.
Was it still early though?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you wake up early. Well, there was a second there last night where we thought we would have to cancel recording today because we thought we were going to have to spend the night in the urgent care because Alec thought his appendix was bursting.
What the fuck?
It turns out he just had a cramp.
That's serious though. You don't want to mess around. No.
It was so painful and acute that I couldn't move or like barely breathe. And so I was like, guys, like might have to go to the hospital. And I was on the speakerphone with my nephew who has COVID and he's like, your appendix is about to bust. You should go to the ER. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, that happened to Tommy. He walked in from college to his parents' house and his dad goes, you don't look good. We're going to the hospital. And he's like, don't be dramatic. No, he had his appendix out within the hour.
Dang.
It was about to burst. I know.
Yeah, so luckily that didn't happen.
I'm really glad that wasn't the case. That sounds terrible.
Me too.
I think it's funny that it was just a cramp too.
I mean, it was clearly very painful.
Yeah.
I blame the Thin Mint pretzels that were left on the table that I had no choice but to eat almost the entire bag.
Do they have some kind of fake sugar in them? Because that gives me really bad abdominal cramps.
Yeah, that could be. Sorry. Those are my Thin Mint pretzels that I had to get rid of because I can't stop eating them.
Now I know how it feels to be poisoned.
Yeah, just call you Georgi Markov.
Yeah, for all the reasons I have to get rid of you, Alec. All right. Well, our learning journey today brings us to Coogee Beach in Sydney, Australia.
Ooh, I don't think we've ever been to Australia on a learn. Oh, no, that's a lie. You did the 19 crimes and we went to Australia.
That was a long ago episode.
That was a long
I
time
liked
ago.
that episode a lot, though.
Me too. Has that one already been on trivia?
Yeah.
Oh.
It has. Oh, yeah.
Dang, I don't even remember.
Me either. That's a good episode. Go back and listen to it if you forget.
We're going to start doing trivia on the trivia.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
Well, we're going back to Australia. This takes place in April 1935. Local fisherman Bert Hobson and his son were enjoying a day out fishing until they reeled in quite a dramatic catch. A 14-foot tiger shark had gotten tangled in their line while it was trying to eat a smaller shark that Hobson had actually hooked. They hauled both fish to the shore, and this poor tiger shark was swiftly taken to Coogee Aquarium to be their newest moneymaker.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Poor shark.
I know. Hobson's brother was like the director at the aquarium or some position like that. So I think he was just like, I know what my brother would like. Let me give him this fucking shark.
And then the shark had a really happy life at the aquarium at the end.
In an alternate universe, that's true. That is absolutely true. I wish we were in that universe. Everything was good for a while. The shark was an absolute hit. He was healthy. He would eat anything and everything the keepers gave to him.
What did they give him?
Just fish and stuff like what he's supposed to eat.
I thought they were just throwing random shit in there. Like, he'll eat anything.
He's the new trash can.
Yeah,
just
he
feeding
loves
him
eating.
cans. But that quickly changed. By the end of the month, he started getting cranky and he would no longer eat anything at all. He was refusing all of the food. And I'm just going to read an excerpt from a book that I'm not going to tell you the title of yet because it'll give some stuff away. but it's written by a medical writer and Dr. Xavier Manier, and he describes a key moment in our learning journey. He said, quote, "The following day, strange happenings occurred, which were witnessed by a small gathering of 14 people. Among them was Narcissus Young of the Sydney Morning Herald, who was later to give evidence in court. Quote, the shark was moving around slowly, then suddenly speeding up, banging against the aquarium walls before diving to the bottom, where it swam in 2 or 3 irregular circles before coming to a stop. I was 3 or 4 meters from the shark and clearly saw something come out of its mouth. It was a copious amount of brown froth, which smelled really foul.
Oh.
And then suddenly up to the surface floated a bird, a rat, a load of muck, and then in the middle of all that, a human arm with a piece of rope tied around it."
Oh no. Did someone try to dispose of a body by feeding it to the shark?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
well, kind of. We'll get into all the dirty details.
Everyone knows you're supposed to. Never mind. I was gonna say,
what would you do?
go to a pig farm, not the aquarium.
Oh, pigs will just eat everything up.
Yeah.
I never have even heard of that.
Yeah. Pigs eat anything.
I've always thought the best way was just to throw it away because the smell of the trash would, disguise the smell of a body. But then I saw Forensic Files where somebody literally did that. And
Yeah, I feel like that always gets you caught.
yeah, I would not be good at it. This is
good.
the sole reason why
you shouldn't want to be good
don't.
at it.
Just kidding.
Have you seen Jaws?
No.
There's a scene in there where they're like have a shark pulled up and it's in the beginning of the movie and they're like, what kind of shark is this? And someone behind them goes, it's a tiger shark. And this one character just goes, oh, what? And it's like so out of place. But can I pull it up and play it for you guys?
Yeah. Tiger sharks are nice, right? Or are they not the nice ones? That's nurse sharks.
I don't know much about tiger sharks at all. I know that the actual shark that had eaten the arm was the shark that the tiger shark was in the middle of eating.
Oh, so that was the smaller one.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they feed it to the bigger one? That makes more sense.
I don't think they literally fed it to a shark.
Oh. Did the shark eat it? Well, I'm sure you'll tell me.
We'll
Never
get to
mind.
theories.
Okay, real quick.
Deep throat crack. Yeah, but what kind? What kind of shark?
It's a tiger shark.
A what?
Sorry, that was not worth it.
I like the way you did it better.
Yeah. Yours was more fun.
So anywho, this arm, it was a whole arm, including forearm and hand, clearly belonging to a very muscular man.
Ooh.
Yes. I like that.
What if the articles were like a very hot, sexy man was fed
he
to
may
a shark?
have been a daddy. I like that was included in the newspaper, like clearly belonging to a very muscular man.
Yeah, Charlie Swan over here inside the shark.
And surely not Tony fucking Soprano.
Yes, Tony fucking Soprano.
He doesn't have muscles. Don't even say
He
that.
doesn't need
does.
muscles.
Well, then it's not him.
Okay.
He's not a very muscular man. The mystery might have appeared too difficult to unravel had there not been a very characteristic tattoo on the front of the forearm. It was 2 boxers like sparring up, getting ready to fight each other.
That just sounds like someone who would get eaten by a shark. Someone with that tattoo. It's giving me Popeye. Like I'm like that this person was a sailor.
Yeah.
And they got eaten by a shark. It all makes sense.
Keep that same energy.
Okay.
In addition, a piece of rope 1.5 meters long was tied around the wrist by 2 half-hitch knots, and on the front of the arm above the elbow was a broad, straight wound. So it was very apparent that the arm had not been bitten off by the shark. It was a clean cut at about the shoulder. There were no tooth marks, and a medical examiner concluded that it had to have been removed by a knife or blade of some sort. So immediately the news of this shark throwing up an arm is spreading.
Sharks can throw up?
Yeah,
I didn't know that
apparently.
about them.
Maybe
Okay.
that's what was hurting him so much because he was
Yeah.
really fucked up about it.
Oh.
Maybe they can't throw up.
I feel so bad for this shark.
I know, me too. So immediately the running theory is that somebody got murdered, obviously. A Sydney newspaper published a picture and description of the tatau. I can't read today. I don't know what's wrong with me.
She had to look up a word to pronounce earlier. What if it was tattoo? You still said tatau.
I kind of like tatau better, honestly.
It's much cuter.
It sounds like how Forrest Gump would say tattoo. I got a tattoo. Anyway, the arm was identified by the man's wife, Gladys, and his brother, Edward. And later it was confirmed through fingerprints. I had to look up because I was like, when did they start using fingerprints forensically? 1911.
Oh,
That's
wow.
when.
It was a new technology.
It really was. It was like cutting edge. So they confirmed it matched the body to former boxer and small-time criminal James Jim Smith.
James Jim Smith.
Jimmy, I think he also went by. He had gone missing a few weeks earlier, and creepy detail, James was a police informant.
Ooh, he was a rat.
He was definitely a rat. Okay, I have more quotes here from that same book. They were convinced that fate had revealed a cold-blooded murder, much like the case of the Albury Pajama Girl, which may be another future topic for night class.
Yeah,
I've never
I don't
heard
know
of
what
it.
that is.
It sounds like both of these are huge cases in Australia. And to me, I don't know how many listeners we do have coming from Australia, but it seems like they're in their own little world down there.
They're doing their own thing. I feel like south of the equator, like what season is it? What time is it?
It's opposite.
I don't know. It's just their toilets flush upside down. They're in their own little worlds.
They really are. So they compared it to that other huge case that I've never heard of, and they thought that it was maybe going to prove to be another perfect crime. The victim of this mysterious death drama is James Smith of Gladesville, former billiards marker at City Tattersall's Club, a well-known suburban billiard saloon keeper. Once a promising lightweight boxer and a man with seemingly not an enemy in the world. Truth, the newspaper, which played an outstanding part in the identification of Smith, knows that the dead man's relatives have expressed grave fears as to how he came to meet such a shocking fate. And trigger warning for self-harm. They all scoffed at the theories of suicide. Instead, they openly expressed the opinion that Jimmy Smith was murdered.
Well, yeah, his fucking arm was cut off. I don't know
can't-
anyone who's committed died by suicide by cutting off their own arm.
Exactly. You can't clean cut that shit. The finding of the arm opens up theories as to how he could have met such a fate. Smith was either a victim of a quarrel while on a fishing excursion, and after being clubbed into unconsciousness, was securely bound and tossed into the ocean's depths. Or the dastardly deed was committed on dry land, and the brain of the human monster responsible conceived the idea of covering up traces of the crime by sending him to a watery grave.
Okay.
So they're
Makes
like,
sense.
we don't really know. Obviously, something bad happened. Smith had last been seen drinking at the Cecil Hotel
What?
in Sydney, not the one
Oh.
in California.
It's like, wow, how did he get all the way from California to Australia
So
without being
quick.
seen?
He just got washed away. He got way too drunk.
Yeah.
He got washed away past the equator down to Australia.
He just boated all the way. He rode on the back of a shark all the way there.
And then the shark betrayed him. Yeah, the little shark started to eat him, and then the big shark was like, not my friend.
The big shark was trying to save him.
Exactly. Case
Aw.
closed. But he was at the Cecil Hotel in Sydney with one of his friends, Patrick Brady, a couple of weeks before his arm was frown up by the shark.
Float up.
That's what I put in my notes. I love saying that so much. On April 8th, Smith let his family know that he was going fishing. He didn't say anything about like, oh, I'm going fishing with Patrick or I'm going alone. Like no details, just like I'm going fishing. And he told his mom goodbye, mentioned that the weather was fine that day and it'd be a good time and that she shouldn't worry and that he'd be fine. He was not fine. So immediately, Patrick Brady is the number one suspect, being the last person that he was seen with. Investigators get to investigating, and Brady's landlord tells them that he unexpectedly vacated the rental that he was renting from him shortly after Smith went missing. The landlord also realized that the mattress and the trunk that came with the rental had been replaced. Also, Brady had scrubbed down the walls of the house and the rowboat that was included in the rental.
Okay.
He's just trying to get his deposit back.
Yeah, cleaning helps him de-stress.
Absolutely.
He just likes it.
He has plenty of things. I mean, his friend is missing. Of course he's stressed.
Yeah.
Of course he's deep cleaning his house and vacating it randomly before the lease is up.
He just doesn't, like, he wants to get rid of the bad memories of losing his friend.
He
just clean up here.
Start a new life.
I mean, pour some bleach on the floor.
Some people like the smell of bleach.
Yeah, I do.
It smells good.
It does.
Investigators then talked to a cab driver who reported dropping Brady off at some house. So they have the cab driver take him to the house, and the cab driver also mentioned that Brady looked disheveled and he had his hand in his pocket and he wouldn't take his hand out of the pocket and he just looked really scared.
He just had a little mini shark in his pocket.
He had the shark tooth. He's like, I cannot lose this. It's my only shark tooth. I have to make a necklace out of it. So the cab driver shows investigators the house that Brady went to, and it belonged to a man named Reginald Lloyd Holmes. Old Reggie boy was like Australia's very own Tony Soprano.
Ooh, love him already. Is he hot though?
I don't know. To me, anyone with the name Reginald is gonna be probably a no.
Okay.
But I don't know. I have a funny anecdote. One of the students, not in my class, he was a new student in a different preschool class. His name was not this, but when I asked him his name his first day of school, he goes, "Hi, I'm Reginald." And I was like, "Oh, really? Like, that's quite a unique name. Like, that's an older name."
Yeah,
And
that's a big name for a 3-year-old.
Yeah, that was not his name. He was just lying to me.
Oh my God.
And he didn't have like uncles or anything. He had one aunt, so we have no idea where that came from. So anyway, back to Reggie and our story. He was a respected boat builder and a businessman in the community, but he also ran shit in the criminal underworld. So
Good for him.
Tony Soprano. Reggie regularly hired Smith, the guy who was murdered, and Brady, the guy they suspected of killing him, to take out his speedboats and pick up cigarettes, cocaine, and any other contraband that would be thrown overboard by ships.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, morally objectionable, but that does sound like a fun job.
If you're gonna be a criminal,
Just take
think
a
smarter.
speedboat out and just like pick up random boxes that are floating around, and then you get to open them and see what's inside.
Yes, oh
like
my
a
God.
fun surprise.
Christmas every day. That's I think why I get so much stuff from Amazon or wherever shipped to me. It's like the excitement of opening up a box. Like, oh, what's in this one?
And you know exactly what it is, but that doesn't matter. It's exciting.
I don't know what it is because I have like 3 packets. When I order things, it's like in 3. So I'm like, I don't know which is which.
Oh,
it's an
okay.
added element of surprise.
That is
Yes.
fun. That's part of the reason I love HelloFresh. It's
Ooh,
even
yeah.
though it's food, it still feels like I'm getting a present every week.
Oh my God, you're so old.
I know.
That's true though.
They're not a sponsor. That was not an ad.
No, but the day we get them as a sponsor, you'll know I'm sincere.
Yeah, I got Every Plate, which is owned by HelloFresh this week, which we don't normally do, but I forgot to skip it this week because we've been doing kind of our own thing for no reason against Every Plate. It is so convenient, though. I think I might convince Tommy to go back
You
to them. Okay, so anyway, they're all working together. Holmes had also hired Smith several times to commit insurance fraud. That was like his favorite thing to do. So they had worked together a lot in the past. The public prosecutor had a theory that they were involved in an insurance scheme in which the plan was to destroy a boat in order to collect the insurance payout. Possibly the scheme went wrong. Maybe they got into an argument that ended up leading to Smith's death. So Brady and Holmes are called in for questioning by investigators, but neither of them are cooperative. Holmes was literally like, I don't know either of these men. I've never seen them before in my life.
I've never seen that man in my life.
Another trigger warning here for violence and self-harm. Eventually, they do have to release the men. And after being released, Holmes, this criminal underworld boss, takes his boat out into the water and tried to unalive himself.
Oh, no.
He failed, though. The bullet, quote, flattened against the bone of his forehead.
He had a really strong head. Oh, my God.
That's full of lies. That's what was backing it up.
That is a flex, though.
Yeah.
My bones are so strong. This man needs to be the poster boy for Big Dairy. Yeah.
He's got milk. For sure.
It sounds like it. You know those Got Milk ads with like Sean Johnson and stuff?
Yes.
Like, what if we made one with him on it?
He probably already has just a natural white mustache, knowing how much milk he has to have drank.
I mean, probably. Right? It's his lip is like bleached from milk. Ew.
The bullet flattens against his head, and he was merely stunned, but it does knock him unconscious temporarily. So he passes out and falls into the water. The thing is, though, is that there were people around. It's not like he's just in this went out to sea, nobody around. No, plenty of people witnessed this entire thing, and they called the police. Shortly after falling into the water, Holmes regains consciousness and climbs back into his boat. At this point, the police are there. They're approaching, and Holmes takes them on a wild boat chase around Sydney Harbor into the ocean. It went on for several hours.
What?
Yeah.
Why was he running from them?
Here's what he said. So they finally apprehend Holmes. They take him to the hospital to treat his, bruise from the gunshot.
God. What if... No, okay, I'm sorry. I had a stupid thought, but I'm picturing the bullet is now like in a hospital bed, like a mini one all tucked in because it was the bullet that actually ended up getting her and not him.
That'd be funny. The nurse is like, I can't find a vein. That's actually what happened. So at first, Holmes is unwilling to talk to them, and he tried to just explain away this suicide attempt. He wanted police to believe that he was actually shot at his house and that he was fleeing in the boat from his assailants, and then he thought the police were his assailants.
And everyone was like, "We saw you shoot yourself. You did it like in the harbor. Yeah. Why couldn't you have just drove out to the ocean first?"
He's
what
like,
a crazy...
You don't know what you saw. Yeah. He's like, how would it even be possible for a bullet to not go through my head?
I mean, that's a fair argument.
I think so too. But eventually he does admit that he had tried to unalive himself and that Brady murdered Smith at the rental cottage. He had dismembered his body, buried most of it, but saved one of his arms.
Why?
He saved the arm so that he could bring it to Holmes. He was using it to threaten him, citing that Holmes would end up like this, holding up the arm, if he didn't pay Brady for some job that he still owed him for.
I mean, a flawless plan. Great way to intimidate someone, for sure.
Brady leaves the arm with Holmes.
What?
So Holmes is like, well, I can't be an accessory to whatever the fuck he did to this guy.
Yeah.
So Holmes ties a weight to the arm and threw it into the water.
Why not take it to the police and be like, this guy who is threatening me killed someone?
Would Tony Soprano go to the police?
No,
he wouldn't.
He wouldn't. He also wouldn't let someone threaten him with an arm.
Yeah, that's
He'd go
true.
kill that motherfucker.
Okay, this is the Australian version.
Okay.
So Holmes, meanwhile, has this whole nervous breakdown and tries to unalive himself again, but unsuccessfully. So it sounds like he had a lot going on, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, clearly.
Yeah, clearly that's a good point. So anyway, eventually Brady is arrested and charged with the murder. And since Holmes is no longer a suspect, they ask him to be a witness for the prosecution.
Okay.
And tell them everything that he had told the investigators.
That's a sweet deal.
He agrees. Mm-hmm. The investigators are pumped. They finally narrow down what happened to Smith, and Holmes even agrees to repeat everything in court. But the night before his day in court, Holmes was found dead in his car.
What?
He was shot 3 times at close range in his chest.
I was going to say they knew better than to go for the skull.
Jesus. You live and you learn.
Yeah.
And then you die. It's still unclear to this day whether Holmes did that to himself or if he was murdered because of the testimony he was about to give. I think it's pretty clear to me and everything that I've heard in true crime and forensic files that you can't shoot yourself 3 times in the chest.
No, you can't. He was definitely murdered. And if he was part of organized crime and then he was about to go be a rat for the prosecution, it adds up.
Yeah, I think so too. And a lot of people were like, he definitely would not do it for himself as well because he had a family to take care of, and that would have been really embarrassing, for them, and they can't collect on life insurance.
But he tried to die by suicide 2 times earlier, so that argument.
Well, I think it does
check out
because of the ballistics for it to be in his chest.
Well, yeah,
it's like another layer.
But the argument that he wouldn't do this to his family, it's like, okay, but he already tried twice that same week. So
that's true. He needed some medication. He needed some therapy. 2 men were indicted for Holmes' murders, but their guilt could never be proven. And the thing for me is that this was the prosecution's star witness. He was like their window into this criminal underworld, and they gave him no protection from the police.
It was 1913, right?
It was 1935.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it was 1913.
I don't know. I feel like people policing is still so flawed. And it was like imagine it 100 years ago.
That's
extra
a fair
flawed.
point.
Yeah,
maybe they were in on it too, honestly.
Yeah, maybe they were paid off.
Mm-hmm. Brady's case also fell apart due to lack of evidence. Since an arm is not an entire body, without the body, they couldn't prove that there ever even was a suicide.
Or a murder.
Yeah, homicide, I meant. Yeah, not suicide. So Brady was never charged. He maintained his innocence until his death in 1965, and the police were never able to find the rest of Smith's body.
That's so nuts.
I know.
But it's like you can't charge him based on a story.
Yeah, it has to be no doubt. And depending on the source that I read, they think that either the body was buried in the trunk or that it was put into the trunk and then sent off to sea. So if it was in the ocean, that'd be like 100 times harder to find rather than on land, but they were never able to find it.
Dang.
A book called The Shark Arm Murders suggests that Smith was killed by Brady on the orders of a gangland figure named Edward Frederick Wayman. He was arrested while attempting to defraud a bank with a forged check and later during a bank robbery. Eddie was only caught due to information that Smith had given the police. as an informant.
Yeah.
So since Smith had been exposed as a what was called a fizz gig in the 20th century Australian slang, which is like a rat, a fizz gig.
Australians have the best words.
Wild, absolutely wild. I just need to replace all of my words with Australian slang.
Me too.
He was a target, obviously, and had to be taken care of. Unfortunately for the shark, he was still sick, and then they killed him like 2 or 3 days after. I don't know.
The shark did nothing.
I literally have no idea. They're probably like, it's not worth it anymore. Like, why not just release
Put
him
it back.
then? Yeah. He
What
was
the fuck?
sick and depressed. He had just froed up an arm. Rude.
Yeah. And why did he also throw up a rat and a bird?
He was just eating all kinds of things, I think. He was the shark version of Terrar. Gross. A post-mortem revealed remains of the other shark, a few fish, and some bones, but no other human remains.
Oh, so they probably killed it to look in its stomach.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now that I read the next line that I forgot.
It's like, you deserve to die.
And that's the tale of how one shark helped solve a murder mystery in Australia.
Wow. I love how we did a little true crime
I know.
episode.
This is like a special edition. I forgot what you were even doing. I forgot that I knew what you were doing this week.
But like, you probably only read the title, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But I guess there was murder in the
figured,
title. Yeah.
My sources are, yes, a shark in 1935 vomited a tattooed human arm in Australia by Nur Ibrahim in Snopes, the Wikipedia page for the shark arm case. And how did a shark in Sydney Aquarium end up with a human arm by Matt Soniak and Atlas Obscura. And lastly, the unusual... Oh, no, I did not use that source. That's all, folks. I thought I was going to, but I didn't.
What if it was like an article that someone who's listening had read and they're just like, yes, and then you don't even read the title of it?
Well, I'll tell you what it was. I didn't get a chance to watch the video. It's from BuzzFeed Unsolved Network, the unusual Australian shark arm murderers. So if you're
Shout
one of
out.
the guys who works for BuzzFeed and that's your source, there you go. I'm sure it's great.
Yeah. And if you're listening, make a video about us. Why don't you put us on BuzzFeed?
We've got plenty of things. Lots of
sharks,
sharks
lots of
and meds and
Bulgarian commies.
Umbrellas.
all right.
Yeah.
Well,
All
it's
right.
been fun. Are we ready?
Yeah. Oh, we're ready. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you to all our Patreons who we've gotten to shout out today. Thank you, Kay, for your topic suggestion. Thank you for everyone who joined us on the cocktail hour. If you would like to support us on Patreon, there are all kinds of extra bonus content and fun little Zooms.
There's perks, okay?
Yes.
Get your perks on.
Get your perks. We would love to see you there. But there are other ways to support us besides Patreon. Text a friend right now that you just learned some really cool things about sharks and they should listen to this episode. Keep telling people. That's really the best way. Also, rate, review, subscribe wherever you can. And as always, thank you so much for listening. We love you. We appreciate you. And 3, 2, 1, class dismissed.